Attention passionate Green Bay Packers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Green Bay Packers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Green Bay Packers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Green Bay Packers fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the Packers this season, you probably noticed a story that's been unfolding right before our eyes, one that could have serious implications for the team's future. And it's all about Romeo Doubs. For quite some time, there was a notion floating around that Doubs might be on his way out, that he was perhaps a trade candidate, especially considering how his early seasons with Green Bay played out. You see, Doubs was drafted in the 4th round of the 2022 NFL Draft, and he showed flashes of potential, but there were also some rough patches, things that made the Packers and their fans wonder if he'd be able to take that next step. Initially, Doubs looked promising, especially in his first 2 seasons. He caught 42 passes for 425 yards in 2022, showing a good rapport with Jordan Love. And in 2023, he continued to develop, even having some highlight moments. But of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Last October, Doubs made headlines for the wrong reasons when he skipped a couple of practices. Now, in the NFL, that's never a good look, especially for a young player trying to establish himself. That incident led to a 1-game suspension, and suddenly, questions about his reliability and maturity started to surface. Despite that, Green Bay chose to keep him around. They saw the talent, the potential, and believed that perhaps a little adversity might help him grow. But then, things took a turn for the worse when Doubs suffered not just 1 but 2 concussions down the stretch of the 2024 season. Concussions are serious, and they can impact a player's health and reliability long-term. For the Packers, that raised alarms. Could they count on Doubs to stay healthy? Could he be a consistent threat in their offense? Adding fuel to the fire was the fact that the Packers, in the 2024 draft, used 2 of their first 3 picks on wide receivers. Matthew Golden was taken in round 1, and Savion Williams in round 3. That's a clear message that Green Bay was looking to build depth and maybe even prepare for a future without Doubs, especially with Christian Watson still in recovery from his torn ACL. Watson, who's been a key part of the Packers' offense when healthy, received a 1-year extension earlier this season that will keep him in Green Bay through 2026. That extension, combined with the draft investments, seemed to seal Doubs' fate, making it look like he might not have a future with the team beyond this season. But here's where things get interesting, folks. Because, despite all the odds stacked against him, Romeo Doubs has quietly, but decisively, turned the narrative around in the early weeks of the 2025 season. And I mean quietly because, honestly, he's been overshadowed by other storylines. But if you watch closely, you see a different player emerging. Through the first 4 games, Doubs has become the Packers' top wide receiver. That's right. After all the doubts, after the injuries, after the draft picks, he's leading the pack. Now, of course, part of this can be attributed to Jayden Reed suffering a broken collarbone, which has taken him out of the rotation temporarily. But still, Doubs has stepped up in a way that's impossible to ignore. What's compelling about his resurgence is that he's doing exactly what you'd want from a player in a contract year. He's making plays, showing his worth, and putting the Packers in a tricky position. When you look at his numbers, 13 catches for 179 yards in just 4 games, they're not eye-popping yet, but what he did in that crucial game against the Dallas Cowboys really stands out. In that game, a tie that was one of the most thrilling and intense of the season so far, Doubs caught 6 passes for 58 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. That's right, 3 touchdowns in a single game. That kind of performance not only showcases his talent, but also raises questions about his future contract negotiations. And let's not forget, he also scored in Week 2 against the Washington Commanders. So, he's been consistent in finding the end zone when it counts. It's almost like he's sending a message to the Packers front office, the coaching staff, and the entire league. Hey, I'm still here, and I can be a key piece for this team moving forward. But with that comes a dilemma. If Doubs keeps producing at this level, he's going to want to test the market come spring. And who can blame him? Especially if the Packers don't come through with an extension that matches his value. Now, it's no secret that Green Bay has been a bit unconventional in their receiver room since trading Davante Adams after the 2021 season. They've adopted a more everyone eats philosophy, spreading the ball around and giving multiple receivers opportunities. That's part of why they haven't had a 1-0-yard receiver since then. Matthew Golden, the first-round rookie, has shown promise but is still adjusting to the NFL game, and Savion Williams is still developing. Meanwhile, Doubs, who might have been seen as a secondary piece, is now pushing himself into the spotlight. What makes all this even more intriguing is the future of the receiver room. Christian Watson is still recovering from his ACL tear and hasn't played a single snap this season, and Reed's injury has opened the door for Doubs to shine. But when Watson and Reed return, the competition for targets will intensify. The Packers have a crowded receiving core, and figuring out how to keep everyone happy and productive will be a challenge. Still, Doubs has proven that he can be a reliable target, especially when the team needs him most. And that's the real question now. Will the Packers try to lock Doubs into a new contract before he hits free agency? Or, given his recent performance, will they consider trading him at the deadline if they can't reach an agreement? Because, let's be honest, if Doubs continues to produce like this, his value skyrockets. The Packers might be tempted to get something in return rather than losing him for nothing. They could look at other options, maybe trade Wicks or even hold onto everyone and see how the season unfolds. But the truth is, this situation is far from settled, and it's one of the most fascinating storylines in Green Bay this season. What's clear, though, is that Romeo Doubs has given the Packers a lot to think about. He's shown resilience, talent, and a knack for making big plays when it matters most. That's exactly the kind of player every team wants, someone who can step up in crucial moments and be a difference maker. Whether he stays in Green Bay or moves on via trade, his impact this season has already been felt, and it's reshaping the narrative of the Packers' receiving core. So fans, keep an eye on this story, because what happens with Doubs in the coming weeks could very well determine the direction of the Packers' offense, and maybe even their entire season. Will they be able to keep him long-term? Will he test the waters and look for a new home? Or will he become a cornerstone of the Green Bay offense for years to come? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. Romeo Doubs is making waves, and this story is far from over. And now, Green Bay Packers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Packers. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Green Bay Packers news. Thanks for being here, and as always, go Pack Go!